Good evening and welcome to the February 2nd, 2021 City Council meeting. I now call this meeting to order. Please be advised that FATV is conducting audio and video recording of this meeting for public broadcast. Councilor Kuchar, would you please lead us in the salute to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, if you would please conduct the roll.
The following councilors have logged in and are present at this evening's meeting. President Zarella, Councilor Boschman, Councilor Kuchar, Councilor DiNatale, Councilor Fleming, Councilor Green, Councilor Schultz, Councilor Squalia, Councilor Van Hazinga, Councilor Walsh.
Thank you. I would like to seek unanimous consent for suspension of all rules of this body or of our parliamentary authority which are in conflict with the remote participation format or the state's guidance on remote participation during the COVID-19 pandemic.
So moved.
If there is no objection.
Question on the motion here.
Certainly.
When do we plan on going back to our regular chambers? The government's already telling people they can start going back to different places.
I am told that it will be as soon as possible, but that we're not entirely certain. It depends heavily on the governor, because at the moment we're still limited to gatherings of 10 and we are at minimum 11 plus support personnel. So even having just us and the public watching remotely would still be currently in violation of the governor's order.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so is there any objection to the motion?
No.
Seeing none, the rules are suspended as noted. The public has been advised to contact the clerk's office by noon today regarding any comments of more than 2 minutes. No such public forum comments have been brought to our attention, though we do have several registrants looking to speak. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm told that Ms. Pridgeon does wish to speak during public comment rather than at the time of the petition. Ms. Pridgeon, you may proceed.
Hi, good evening. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much for having us. I just wanted to do a brief introduction again. Myself as well as Terreno Pridgeon is here. And we're just here this evening because we watched the DPW committee meeting that was held on Tuesday, 1/26, which we were excluded from and not allowed to share or given the opportunity to explain our desires or motives pertaining to the Black Lives Matter petition. We feel that based on the grounds that the DPW commissioner/engineering director failed to specify any policies or laws pertaining to not allowing us a space or place for a Black Lives Matter banner, that we should be given the opportunity to do so as initially directed to us by the then president, Michael Kuchmerek. I feel that because we were excluded, we were deprived the opportunity to address the confusion that transpired at the meeting. We could have offered the committee members insight on on our wishes and offered a compromise. We would have been more than happy to accept the placement of a banner or a flag anywhere, and we would have agreed to the maintenance and the upkeep of it. The meeting on 1/26 is the exact reason why we state, I matter, you matter, we matter, Black Lives Matter. In a city built for hundreds of years on inclusion, diversity, and unity, and literally has been a place of history when it comes to fighting for the fair treatment of slaves, we don't understand today's resistance. We would like to remind the committee of a meeting that was held on 12/8, on which there was a commitment made in that meeting to strengthening inclusion and diversity and taking necessary steps to ensure the progress of our city. In closing, we would just ask respectfully that our petition be given another opportunity at the DPW committee or any other committee that this body deems appropriate, so that we may be included in the conversation about matters pertaining to lives that matter. And I would just like to state just one last thing for this evening is that we come before you this evening on the eve that Black Lives Matters has been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. So this has a lot of meaning to us, as well as the hundreds of other people that signed the petition for this banner. And we thank you again for your attention to this matter.
Thank you, Ms. Pridgeon. And we will certainly have the opportunity to discuss that when the matter comes up on later on the agenda. In the meantime, thank you for your comment, and we appreciate your input.
Thank you very much.
I would also like to briefly welcome, I don't actually see her here, but hopefully she was able to get in. Joyce Schultz had asked to register for the meeting in order to observe for a course assignment. So welcome, and we hope that it will be enlightening and very helpful to you. Let's see, all of our other registrants are for specific petition matters. So we will now hear the report from the Appointments Committee. Councillor Van Hazinga.
Thank you, Mr. President. This evening, the Appointments Committee met and voted 4-0 to approve the reappointment of Mr. James McGrath to the Board of Park Commissioners, term to expire April 1st, 2025. At the request of the Police Department, we move forward with one appointment as a full-time student police officer for the City of Fitchburg, Mr. Zarius Z. Ramos, and the committee voted 4-0 to approve that appointment. The other two appointments, Mr. Cedric Robinson and Angelo Ramos Jr., were given leave to withdraw at this time.
Thank you. And I see we have Mr. Ramos here. Would you like to briefly address the council on the subject of your appointment? Mr. Ramos, you're muted. I see we have Chief Martineau as well, if you would like to speak, Chief.
Sorry about that. My computer disconnected me for a moment.
Certainly, all right.
Can you repeat what? Good evening. Do you mind repeating what was going on? I'm sorry about that.
Oh, that's perfectly fine. It happens. It's a facet of this format. I was just saying that asking if you would like to make a brief comment to the council on the subject of your appointment this evening, or your potential appointment this evening.
I think I'm just more appreciative to everyone who came together and made the final decision of my appointment, and it's just been a long time coming, and I'm just very excited and glad to be here and glad to be working for the City of Fitchburg.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for your desire to serve.
Of course.
Chief Martineau, did you have anything you'd like to add?
Thank you, Mr. President. As I stated to the Appointments Committee, Mr. Ramos comes to us through our dispatch room. As the council is fully aware, a lot of our police officers are making their path to full-time policehood through our dispatch center. Mr. Ramos is a 22-year-old lifelong resident of the City of Fitchburg. He attended our public schools, went on and graduated from Sizer Charter School. He completed the Reserve Academy this past summer. And like I said, he's been working as a 911 dispatcher since that time. But also he brings with him some experience working with autistic children, working for Behavioral Concepts here in the City of Fitchburg. So we expect bright things out of Mr. Ramos. We look forward to him going to the Police Academy this month, and in 6 months' time joining the police department as a full-time employee. But I'd like to thank the council for continued support for our police officers.
Thank you. The matter is before the council.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion and second to approve. If there is no objection, it is approved by unanimous consent. We will now hear the report from the Committee on Records. Councilor Squalia.
We have reviewed the records and they appear to be in order.
Motion to accept.
Second.
I have a motion
Second.
and second.
Second.
I have a second, but thank you. And if there is no objection, that is accepted by unanimous consent. And also, I moved on before I mentioned congratulations to the appointees this evening.
Thank you.
Now we have several reappointment letters. For the Board of Trustees for the Public Library, term to expire January 2nd, 2023. We have Joanne Hughes and Cynthia Jones. For the Public Library, term to expire 2024. We have Matt Brune, Robert Favini, Mary Rice Hurley, and James Walsh. We have Ms. Paula Karen as a member of the Planning Board, term to expire January 1, 2026. Mr. Michael Donnelly, Conservation Commission, term to expire 2024. Mr. John Bogdasarian, Board of Health, term to expire 2025. Mr. Ian Murray, Board of Health, term to expire 2025. Ms. Sandra Neep, as a member of the Board of Health, term to expire 2023. And Ms. Barbara Nealon, Human Rights Commission. Excuse me? Sorry, just a audio glitch. Ms. Barbara Nealon, Human Rights Commission, term to expire 2024. Those all stand referred to the Appointments Committee. We also have two new appointment letters. Mr. Derek Cruz, Board of Trustees for the Public Library, term to expire January 2nd, 2023. And Ms. Michelle Antaya Shibarasi as a member of the Board of Trustees of Public Burial Grounds, term to expire January 28th, 2024. Those also stand referred to the Appointments Committee. We have two reports, the City Auditor's Report of June 30th, 2020, and the Montechusett Regional Vocational Technical School District report for the year 2020. Those will both be placed on file in the city clerk's office. And we now have a report from the Finance Committee. Councilor Dinatale.
Thank you, Mr. President. Finance met last Tuesday and took up the following matters. 003-21 was a order to accept a gift from the Crockerfield Restoration Committee for the concrete rehabilitation at the grandstands at Crockerfield for $17,600. That was unanimous. 721 was an order to accept the FY21 Shannon Community Safety Initiative grant for $336,400 to reduce gang and youth-related violence. That was unanimous. And 821 was an order to accept a grant for $59,375 to support the domestic violence advocate position within the police department. That was unanimous as well.
Motion to approve the report.
Second.
I have a motion and second. If there is no objection, seeing none, the matter is approved by unanimous consent. We will now hear a report of the Public Works Committee.
Public Works Committee met on Tuesday, January 26th, and we took up the following orders. 228-20, Toriano and Mariah Pridgeon and various Fitchburg residents to petition for Black Lives Matter banner painted on the stone wall on Kimball Street, passing through the intersection. That was given leave to withdraw. 246-20, Councilors Marcus DiNatale and Councilor Fleming on behalf of residents Tyler Scipione to petition city to repair and place the sidewalk in front of 89 Highland Ave. That was granted. 046-20, Councilor Fleming and DiNatale to declare Ethia Street a public way. That was held. 089-20, Councilor Bernie Schultz and resident Alex Freeman and at 70 Rainville Ave to remove the no-turn red signal at the intersection of John Centrino Memorial Drive and Water Street. And we amended that to read the correct spelling of Centrino, and it was going to be held as amended. And finally, 177-20, Councilor Paul Boschman to petition the city to add a berm in front of 78 St. Joseph's Ave in order to address water and sand issues faced by residents in the winter. The berm should be placed from the start of the sidewalk to the berm on the Daniel Street, and that was held.
Thank you. We have DPW Commissioner Nicholas Bossanetto with us to speak on 228-20. Commissioner Bossanetto? You may proceed.
Good evening, councilors. Thank you for having me here tonight. I appreciate the opportunity to speak about this petition. As has been mentioned, we discussed the petition at the Public Works Committee meeting, and you're free to see the transcripts and also the FATV video that was recorded to see our discussion on the matter. Basically, what it comes down to is, as Commissioner of Public Work and as City Engineer for the city, City Code gives me the supervision over all the public infrastructure. That's roadways, bridges, traffic signals, retaining walls, etc. As city engineer, it is my job, my duty to make sure the city's infrastructure is maintained in a safe and in a manner which is convenient, for the city. And what I refer to, I refer to various different things. For example, the MUTCD, the Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices, which sort of dictates how we can, what we can do with our traffic signals, with our streets, what kind of paint we can place on it. And, I was describing different things that, we can't just go ahead and paint things everywhere that, just because you want to. We have to follow certain protocols. And also, as far as, as the discussion, it's content neutral. That means, I don't care what the content of the message is we simply, we don't allow people to, paint messages or do advertising on the city infrastructure. That's not what it's there for. Nothing against the message. Like I said, it's content neutral to me. I don't care what the message itself is. It's just we don't allow people to place advertisements or paint murals or display their messages on the public infrastructure. That's not what the purpose of the public infrastructure is. Again, so I'll defer to the councilors that were there at the committee meeting. If you have any questions, I'll answer them.
I have Councilor Schultz to speak, and then I see Councilor Green.
Well, I'm a member of the Public Works Committee, and I at the time, I really thought we could have a further discussion about how we could maybe change that particular petition to make it a legal banner that we could put up somewhere, because there are a lot of people in favor of it. And I just thought at the time that I said that maybe the Legislative Affairs Committee might be the place to place that petition so we could have further discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Green?
I guess my question would be, would the petitioner have the ability to come before the Parks Board, maybe if they wanted to do a flag to hang at where all of our nation's flags hang, or if they wanted to contact Reimagine North of Maine and maybe pay for or have a mural done in that avenue. But again, I think that if we open up kind of what I see as a can of worms about allowing any or all people to paint or have their message on any of our city infrastructure, that it could get quite daunting and dangerous to maintain, especially this one on Kimball Street. I don't know how you would ever pull that off to be safely about that, but maybe there is I don't know, someplace other that they could hang a flag or something, maybe not quite as permanent as paint on a city structure or a building. So I didn't know if there was anybody that could speak on maybe what the next avenue, if the petitioner wanted to further seek amendment to this. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Walsh?
Thank you, Mr. President. I was going to suggest something along the same lines as Councilor Green, that I'd like to see the petitioners maybe work with maybe a counselor. I know Councilor Schultz is definitely in favor of this. I think that I'm not opposed to the sentiment and to the statement. I think that the commissioner is within his rights to declare that it should be limited. You can't paint things on infrastructure in the city. So I think that if they would, like to revise their petition so that it's not, on public infrastructure, that might be something that they might want to pursue.
Thank you. I have Councilor Schultz for the second time.
Yes, thank you, Councilor Zarella. I did speak to Mrs. Pridgeon yesterday about that, and she would be amenable to having a flag put up somewhere that would be something that would be legal within the city. So certainly we could work with her, I think, to accomplish what she'd like to accomplish. So it just needs some further work as Councilor Walsh said, with a different petition. Thank you.
So in light of this discussion and the seeming consensus that there ought to be an amended petition or a subsequent petition, I would suggest that someone may want to move to amend to specifically note that it is being given leave to withdraw without prejudice. So it can be refiled.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I have a motion and second solely for that amendment. If there is no objection. Councilor Green, is that an objection?
It would be an objection, but I see that Councilor Di Natale has asked to speak, so I will take a second.
Councilor Di Natale, is this about the amendment or about the underlying petition?
I guess both.
Okay, go ahead.
First of all, what's the amendment again?
The amendment is simply to expressly state leave to withdraw without prejudice, so that it's clear. Normally, that would be what we assume anyway if we say leave to withdraw, but since we're specifically saying they should go back to the drawing board and come back with something else, we would want to make that clear.
So on that, my confusion is, what type of petition would be filed before this body if they were to entertain in that different avenue by way of a private location? Why would that come to us? If we're giving leave to withdraw because and the concern is because of public property, and there is another avenue in which to have this addressed, and some have stated about private use, I'm just confused. Why would it come to us for a petition? I don't.
Councilor, I think the idea is that there may be another public place where it could be put in a different form that would not have the same concerns as painting it on public infrastructure. That may or may not, in fact, pass. It's just, I think that is the suggestion that's being entertained here.
So a refile would still make it on public property?
It would depend on what they come back with after working with any councilors who wish to aid them in refiling.
I'm just looking for clarification. You've given it to me. Thank you.
No problem. Councilor Green?
Yeah, I'm not in favor of amending the motion because I don't think that it should come before us again as a permanent banner to be painted on anything other than on somebody's private piece of property that would like to entertain that. I think that it should totally remove the city and or the public works, any of the DPW departments at this point, as it's clearly stated as their petition. So I will not be amenable to making any changes to the petition, giving it just leave to withdraw, period. Thank you.
Thank you. And just as a procedural note, even if we were to interpret leave to withdraw as a rejection of the petition, which typically would not be anyway, they would still be able to refile a substantially different petition. So if it were to hang a flag rather than to paint something somewhere, that would still be a different petition. So just to clarify for people. I have Councillor Boschman.
Hold on. Yeah. I got a question for the commissioner because I thought he said that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought he said that nobody could put anything on private property. I mean,
Councillor, I'm gonna have you hold that for just a moment because currently we have a motion to amend that is before us. That your question will be relevant after we've decided the motion to amend. And on that subject, I have Councillor Schultz. You have already spoken twice on the underlying matter, but if you have a comment on the amendment itself, you may certainly make that.
Yeah, thank you. I was just going to say to Councillor Green, it's, you know, you know, in talking to Mrs. Pridgeon, she wasn't talking about any paint at all. She was talking mostly about a flag to be put somewhere. So we'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you. And so there is objection to the amendment. So Madam Clerk, if you would please conduct a roll call vote to amend.
Sure. Councillor Kuchar.
No.
Councillor Di Natale.
No.
Councillor Fleming.
No.
Councillor Green.
No.
Councillor Schultz.
Yes.
Councillor Squalia.
Aye.
Councillor Van Hazinga.
Yes.
Councillor Walsh.
Councillor Walsh, you're muted.
Yes.
Thank you. President Zarella.
Yes.
And Councillor Boschman.
Yes.
Okay, so that is passed.
By what vote?
Okay. 6-4.
Okay, thank you. All right, so it is amended, and the amended matter is now before the council. Councillor Boschman, you had a question?
I have a question for the commissioner. I just want to make sure I understand what he said, that I know he has the power. Can people ask to put a flag up on parks? And are they allowed to put flags up on parks that the city owns?
Thank you for your question. So I believe the policy for flag park, it has to be a flag of a nation. It cannot be the flag of an organization. So therefore, you know, it has to be a country flag, not a political flag, not an organization, not an NGO, things like that. So we allow flags of countries to represent the diversity of where people come from. That's my understanding.
That's it for now.
Okay, so the entirety of the Public Works Committee report with the noted amendment is before the council.
Make a motion to accept.
Second.
I have a motion and second to accept the Public Works Committee report as amended. If there is there any objection? There is objection. Madam Clerk, would you please conduct the roll?
Councillor Kuchar.
No.
Councillor Di Natale.
No.
Councillor Fleming.
No.
Councillor Green.
No.
Councillor Schultz.
Yes.
Councillor Squalia.
Aye.
Councillor Van Hazinga.
Yes.
Councillor Walsh.
Yes.
President Zarella.
Yes.
Councillor Boschman.
Yes.
And that does pass 6-4.
Thank you. We now have a public hearing 00621, Unitil Fitchburg Gas and Electric Company for a proposed new pole number 15, approximately 45 feet north of existing pole 14 at the intersection of Industrial and Westminster Hill Roads. I now declare the hearing open. We have Mr. James D. for Unitil present with us tonight. And you may present your matter to the council, Mr. D. You have to unmute yourself first, though.
Oh,
there you go.
This is with Unitil. Can you hear me now?
I can. Thank you.
Okay. Yes. We are looking to get permission to set a pole at the intersection of Industrial Road at Westminster Hill Road. And as you can see on the sketch, it's approximately 45 feet from pole number 14 across the intersection. And this is for the purpose of a new business up on Westminster Hill Road called Game On. And we need a new or clean pole for them ground primary up to their business. So basically that new pole would be to bring power across the street, so we have a clean pole to serve Game On.
Thank you. As of right now, we have no one in the audience on this matter, so if there's no objection, I'm going to dispense with the call for comment from the public. And I will open it up to the council. I see Councillor Boschman has a comment to make.
And I get a question. We're gonna run a wire from the right across the intersection to that new pole. Is that what I'm understanding when I look at that picture?
Yes, you are correct.
Is there any, I know the commissioner is going to say something. Is there any reason why we can't put the wire underground instead of having a big wire going across that intersection and then put it to the pole and do what you have to do?
Well, I guess according to utility standards, we need a clean pole. If we go underground and we rise up on that pole with 3-phase, and then they come and rise up on that pole with 3-phase, that's not the standard for that. You can't have two, primary rises on there. That would not work. So we need a clean pole for them to come up with their 3-phase underground. Does that answer your question?
I don't think I understand. I'm not an electrician. I really don't understand that part of it. I just look at the fact of the matter. It's coming from a residential area, it's going across, and then it's going to Westminster Hill Road. And all I can picture is when I go down Water Street, I see a big hanging wire going right across the street. One wire. It looks like you're hanging your clothes out, or I'm not a fan of wires, to be honest with you.
I know. So yeah, we have a short span, and we need a clean pole for Game On. So basically, we need to get across the intersection because there's no room on that side of the intersection. And I know you want to always go underground, but in this case, like I said, it gets too busy on that pole if we go underground up that pole, and then they go underground up that pole, and so we just wanted to go overhead, dead end it, and then have them rise on that with their underground cable. But it's it's at the end of a industrial park, so I don't think you'll be driving by it.
No, but the people that live in that area will. All right. That's it.
Right. They don't go. They're not going to be going underneath it. It's I know what you mean, but they won't be going underneath it.
Okay.
Okay.
Any further questions or comments from council? If all have been heard, I declare the hearing closed. The matter is before the council.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second to grant the petition. If there is no objection, seeing none, it passes by unanimous consent.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you, Mr. D.
Bye now.
We now have, I'm sorry, I lost my place. We now have orders 01221 through 01621 that stand referred to the Finance Committee. Those are an order for the expenditure of funds from the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Program Action Grant in the approximate amount of 271,787. I have a motion from Councilor Di Natale to waive the readings. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any objection? Then we will waive the readings. Thank you, Councilor. I have a request for suspension of the rules on 1721, an order establishing the dates of the City of Fitchburg municipal election calendar.
Second.
I have a motion and second to suspend the rules. That requires a 2/3 vote. So, Madam Clerk, would you please conduct the roll?
Council Kucher. Council Kucher.
Yes.
Thank you. Council Di Natale.
Yes.
Councilor Fleming.
Sorry, yes.
Thank you. Councilor Green.
Yes.
Councilor Schultz.
Yes.
Councilor Squalia.
Aye.
Councilor Van Hazinga.
Yes.
Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
President Zarella.
Yes.
Councilor Boishman.
It's a yes for me too.
Thank you. That is unanimous.
Thank you. The matter is before the council.
Move to approve the order.
Second.
I have a motion and second. If there is no objection, then it passes by unanimous consent. I have a second request for suspension of the rules on a resolution adopting the City of Fitchburg 2020 Hazard Mitigation Plan, Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Plan. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Approve.
I have a motion and second. Madam Clerk?
Councilor Kucher.
Yes.
Councilor Di Natale.
Yes.
Councilor Fleming.
Yes.
Councilor Green.
Yes.
Councilor Schultz.
Yes.
Councilor Squalia.
Aye.
Councilor Van Hazinga.
Yes.
Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
President Zarella.
Yes.
Councilor Boishman.
Yes.
That is unanimous.
The matter is before the council.
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
I have a motion and second to approve. If there is no objection, it passes by unanimous consent. I have petition 01921, Councilor Paul Boishman, to propose an amendment to Rule 4.6 relative to standing committees. I would ask that we move for that to be sent to a council as a whole committee to be held immediately prior to our next council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Any objections? That passes by unanimous consent. And I have 02021, Vincent P. Pusateri II, Esquire, to convert false alarm notifications fees to a municipal charge lien as outlined in the enclosed petition. And that is to be sent to the Finance Committee and Legislative Affairs Committee. Councilor Green, I see you have a comment on that.
While we have Attorney Pusateri here, I just wanted to know if that relates to departments or specific organizations that have false alarm calls, and then are they directly billed for that? And then you're asking for them not to be billed for it, but for a lien to be placed, what, in the department or on the property? I don't understand how it's going to convert.
Okay, thank you for the question, Counselor. Chief Martineau and I were planning on presenting this in the next, at the committee hearing. The chief's part is to explain the mechanism of the false alarms, but as I understand it, Counselor, we have alarm permits that are issued by the police department that monitor alarm activity. You know, obviously we want the police department to respond when an alarm goes off in a private building. However, if there's a number of false alarms, our ordinance does allow for a fee to be charged. The problem comes when, as a result of the fee being charged, a bill is generated by the police department, and most often it's paid. Unfortunately, there is about $5,300 that remained unpaid, and we were looking at the collection of that. We were talking about whether or not we should bring those to court in a small claims context, refer them out to a local firm that's reputable in collecting small claims judgments. And what we decided is that the statute that I refer to in the petition will allow us to amend our ordinance in such a way that if property fails to make a payment of the false alarm bill, we could avoid all of that additional work or time and cost in collection. But the treasurer would just allow it to be a municipal lien and then eventually rolled into as part of the real estate taxes on the property. And then they would either be paid in the context of a real estate tax or just become another tax lien on a property. And that's the vision is for this plan.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And that stands referred to the noted committees, Finance and Legislative Affairs. And that concludes our agenda. Our next regularly scheduled meeting will be February 16th at 7.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and second to adjourn. Seeing no objection, we are adjourned. Have a good night, everyone.
Night, everyone.